Welcome to We've Got a Country to Save, brought to you by my friends at InvestYRefy.com. Invest in America like I do. And by Freedom Chat. Freedom Chat has true end-to-end encryption, no storage of messages on the server, and no commercial use of user data. Speak freely and message privately. Download the app today and subscribe to my Freedom Chat channel at Larry Elder for exclusive posts and never-before-seen content. We also thank Epoch Times, Old Glory Bank, Patriot Mobile, and BIRCH Gold. And make sure to follow or subscribe to my channel on whatever platform you are currently using, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble. And if you don't patronize our sponsors, well...
Now you just can't leave.
We know where you live. That was one disastrous debate for Joe Biden. And I think for a lot of people, he's dead man walking. He may be gone in the next few days, maybe even few hours. Some Democrats are circling the wagon around him. But what happened to the Michelle Obama / Gavin Newsom option? The Supreme Court nukes the so-called insurrection case against Trump. All of this and more. Breaking news, 51 former senior intelligence officials say Joe Biden won the debate. How senior? No, you cannot make this up. Guess who some time ago worried about elder abuse? I'll give you a hint. It's a former Delaware AG named Beau Biden.
Hi, my name is Beau Biden, Attorney General of the state of Delaware. Here to talk to you about something that's very important to me and to my office, senior abuse, which falls into one of three categories: abuse, neglect, or financial exploitation. For every one of these types of crimes that's reported to our office, 5 go unreported. But 2 million senior Americans are affected every year. And 80% of these crimes are committed by family members against their so-called loved one. We need your help. Seniors need your help. So if you suspect that anyone is affected by any of these crimes, please contact our Elder Abuse Hotline at 1-800-223-9074. Thank you.
Is somebody going to call and report Dr. Jill Biden? Now, did Biden say expand energy shortages?
We've invested billions to enhance our power grid, expand energy shortages so that lights, air conditioning, refrigeration, internet stay on during heat waves, storms, and other climate change.
I guess he did. Carl Bernstein, senior CNN analyst.
So, Carl, according to the people you've been talking to, what are you hearing?
Well, these are people, several of them, who are very close to President Biden, who love him, have supported him, have been among them are some people who have raised a lot of money for him. And they are adamant that what we saw the other night, the Joe Biden we saw, is not a one-off, that there have been 15, 20 occasions in the last year and a half when the president has appeared somewhat as he did in that horror show that we witnessed.
Now I give you the unbridled, unhinged, pathologically, irrationally hating Joy Reade. But at least she's being honest.
This election is no longer about the old guy that's in the White House now. Like, all the op-ed pages and the New York Times can run around and opine about, what Joe Biden should do. And, y'all have fun with that. Enjoy yourselves, intellectual thought leaders. I no longer care. Doesn't matter to me anymore. It's above me now. It's above me now. There's a Waffle House next door. There's a Best Western next door as well. It's above me now. It's above Joe Biden now. Don't care about Joe Biden's age, infirmity, that he shuffle when he walk. I don't care. He could be seated for the rest of, from now to Election Day, and never get up off a chair. He could sit down. He could roll around in a wheelchair. He could be on a skateboard, seated. I don't care. Donald John Trump cannot be allowed back into the White House.
Hi, folks. Do you trust this economy? What if you could receive a strong fixed rate of return that's not correlated to the stock market or the Fed? And what if you were in control? You could turn your income on or off, compound it, whatever you choose. What if your interest was compounded daily, you were paid monthly, and there were absolutely no fees? And what if you could have peace of mind because there was no attack on your principal if you ever needed your money back? Well, folks, there is an investment with all of these features. Investors all over the country are earning a high fixed rate of return with Yrefy, and they don't care about what happens with the stock market or the Fed. And best of all, they receive their statement every month with no surprises. Would you like some more information? Just call 877-80-INVEST. That's 877-80-INVEST. Or log on to investyrefy.com. That's investyrefy.com. Yrefy, do well by doing good. Now, immediately after the debate, Reade was singing a very different tune.
The universal reaction was somewhere approaching panic. The people who were texting with me were very concerned about President Biden seeming extremely feeble, seeming extremely weak. And, you know, I'll just reiterate what I said earlier. President Biden had one job tonight, and it was one primary job. And yes, it was to litigate Donald Trump's, you know, criminality and all of those things. But he had to settle his own party. He needed to settle Democrats. Democrats, you know, they always talk about Democrats are bedwetters and Democrats are always panicking. Yes, Democrats are always panicking. They're always scared, right? They're always thinking they're going to lose. Like, Democrats are very pessimistic. This is just neurotic. Who they are. They're neurotic. But Joe Biden's job was to reassure them tonight. His job was to calm his party, to make them feel that, yes, I can do this. I have 4 more years in me. I have the ability and the stamina and the strength to do 4 more years. He did not do that.
What happened? She and the Dems realized over the next 24, 48 hours following the debate that they are stuck with Biden. Dr. Jill wants him to stay. They blocked RFK Jr. Biden has the delegates. Kamala Harris cannot be ousted. Michelle does not want the job. And anyway, some polls show that she might even lose. Gavin Newsom wants a job, but Kamala is in the way. And anyway, polls show he'd lose. So it's either rehabilitate Joe, start praising Kamala, and remind people that Trump is an evil, fascist dictator and chronic liar. That's the game plan.
Well, listen, if they weren't engaged in a little bit of hand-wringing, they wouldn't be Democrats.
Joe Biden is our leader. And Joe Biden has earned, and Joe Biden deserves the confidence, the respect, and frankly, the partnership that we now have to provide to him.
I do not believe that Joe Biden has a problem leading for the next 4 years, because he's done a great job of leading for the last 3.5 years.
It's not about performance in terms of a debate. It's about performance in a presidency. And I want you to know that the fact is that the reaction to the lies of Donald Trump is something that maybe TV isn't focusing on, but people are.
As to Biden's mental capacity, this is Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre 1 year ago.
He was State of the Union. I believe he spent 90 minutes speaking to congressional members in front of him, to the American people. After that, he spent an hour shaking hands and saying hello and greeting the congressional members and their guests. And this is a president that works day in and day out, you know, in a grueling fashion, with a grueling schedule, and delivers. And let's not forget, it is interesting that we get this question about this president, who has had one of the most historical presidency in his first 2 years than any other president, almost any other president.
Person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
Talk about that. But here's the deal. There's a lot of young women who are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters, it's just ridiculous. And they can do nothing about it.
Does President Biden, at 81 years old, have Alzheimer's, any form of dementia or degenerative illness that would cause these sorts of lapses? And it's a yes or no question. And if you don't know, why don't you, as one of his senior staff members, know?
I have an answer for you. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
It's a no. And I hope you're asking the other guy the same exact.
On the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Why did Biden fall on his face? Well, we're hearing all sorts of excuses. He had a cold, although they didn't say it until an hour into the debate. He had jet lag because of his overseas travel, even though he'd been back in the Eastern time zone for 10 days. Then there's preparation overload.
Well, as I'm watching the debate alone in my condo, I decided not to go to any watch parties. I felt from the very beginning that Joe Biden was going to have a tough night because I thought it was preparation overload. I just saw it. I've been around these debates for a long time. I have been a part of the debate prep in a couple of instances. And as I could see that Joe Biden was trying not to stray from the preparation. And he was grappling for numbers, grappling for platform positions, rather than reacting to the question directly from his own personal feelings, personal experiences. And I think that you always do much better on television when people can feel your response as well as hear.
So I'm sure that made sense to somebody. So preparation overload caused Biden to say, we beat Medicare. Sisters are raping sisters. The Border Patrol Union endorsed him. No soldiers died on his watch. Biden surrogate Senator Coons says, hey, Joe just had a bad night.
And this is the core thing I think you're trying to raise here, Jake. He needs to reassure folks with repeat performances in public that he is up to this task and address the core question you're asking me. I have not seen evidence that our president is not up to the task of running for and continuing to serve as president. So that's something that is up to our president to prove to the public in the coming weeks. And I'm accepting that as an open question and a challenge. But I do think he has the strongest record in his first 3 years that any of us could imagine. Just last month, our economy created more jobs, in no small part because of President Biden's leadership, than it did in the whole 4 years that Donald Trump was president. Joe Biden has the strongest record.
Surprisingly, CNN's Jake Tapper actually pushed back.
It is not honest to say that this is just one night. There have been moments like this that people have seen in front of the cameras and other moments but with cameras not there. Just 2 weeks ago, let me just show this clip. There was another moment like this, not just a senior losing a train of thought, but something else going on. Here he is. It was an event about immigration. He tries to introduce DHS Secretary Mayorkas, and there's some sort of glitch. I don't know what it is. Let's roll that tape.
Thanks to all the members of Congress and Homeland Security Secretary. I'm not sure I'm going to introduce you all the way. But all kidding aside, Secretary Mayorkas.
I don't know what that was.
Secretary.
Coons says we need to see more of Trump. Debbie Dingo, one of Biden's defenders from Michigan, said the same thing. We need to get him out more. Let the Americans see him and touch him and feel him. Have him respond in unscripted places. Are you kidding me? That's exactly why he's not doing it, because he keeps making gaffes. With Biden, less is more. If the idea was to put him out more, he'd have been put out more. Now, this is Bill Barr, and Trump fired him for not accepting his argument that VP Pence could refuse to certify the election for Biden.
You know, when I look at his first term, he had a very successful first term. He got a lot of things done against a lot of tremendous opposition. And, you know, I hear a lot of rhetoric about him going after his enemies and so forth, but I don't see any specifics as to that happening during his first term. And I think, you know, I don't minimize Trump's flaws and especially a lot of his rhetoric and the effect that can have on the body politic. But I think as I said, when I look at the two different choices, for me, it's an easy choice that I think the threat to democracy and the threat to the United States and the most damage would be done by 4 more years of Biden versus Trump. And I think given the particular problems we face internationally, the problem of the administrative state, the problem of the sluggishness of our economy, the inflation and so forth, that he's the right person for that job as between the two, and we have to choose between those two individuals.
If you weren't following the news, a massive hit to the U.S. dollar came in June when Saudi Arabia did not renew its 50-year petrodollar deal with the U.S. You see, since 1974, Saudi Arabia has sold oil solely in U.S. dollars, and that was huge to our global economic dominance. Now they want options other than the U.S. dollar. So I ask you, if there is less demand for the dollar, what happens to the dollar? Look, it's reasons like this that Americans turn to Birch Gold Group. For over 20 years, Birch Gold has helped tens of thousands of Americans protect their savings by converting an IRA or 401k into an IRA into physical gold. To learn more, visit LarryForGold.com and claim your free, no-obligation info kit on gold. Again, visit LarryForGold.com. Birch Gold has earned my trust with their education-first approach, their thousands of happy customers, and their countless 5-star reviews. Protect your savings with gold before the dollar plunges any further. Visit LarryForGold.com today. That's LarryForGold.com today. It's been quite a last few days for Trump. I haven't had this much fun since I fed my little brother to the hogs. Trump wipes the floor with Biden during the debate. Then the Supreme Court dumps on the special counsel's January 6th so-called obstruction charges. And recently, the Supreme Court said Trump deserves immunity for what he said and did on January 6th. This new Trump ad about Biden's performance is brutal.
Both are making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare, we're trying to provide housing for Black Americans. The impact on the choice, the idea that they're gonna. I'm proposing that everybody the millionaires pay 1%. So no one I've not raised the cost of Social Security for anybody. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it stopped. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
And again, did Biden really say sisters are raping sisters?
They talk about that, but here's the deal: there's a lot of young women are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters, it's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it.
Clean up on aisle 9. Is it me, or does Nancy Pelosi sound a lot like Joe Biden?
This is an opportunity for Joe Biden to go out there and show he has the stamina and the rest. And by the way, while the press, and for some reason they don't, there are healthcare professionals who think that Trump has dementia, that his connection, his thoughts do not go together. And while he may be saying we're enablers, we see Joe Biden up close. We know how attuned he is to the issues, how informed he is. And I debate with him about legislation, and not debate, but discuss it with him. He's right there. So in any case, it was a bad night. Let's not sugarcoat that. It was a bad night. It was a great presidency.
That was almost as cringy as Dr. Jill.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts. Let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Lied! Yes.
Speaking of Kamala Harris and cringe, what exactly was this?
No, Taraji. Now, you know I wouldn't do that, especially not to a fellow bison. The real, ain't you? You know. So what's on your mind?
Oh, Madam VP Harris, I'm worried about the election. Women's reproductive rights are on the line. Our Supreme Court is on the line. Our basic freedoms are being tested, Madam VP. I know you've been traveling across the country. What are you hearing?
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets. And let me tell you, you're right, Taraji. There is so much at stake in this moment. The majority of us believe in freedom and equality. But these extremists, as they say, they're not like us.
They not.
There's a full-on attack on our fundamental freedoms. The freedom to vote.
Yep.
The freedom to love who you love, the freedom to be safe from gun violence, the freedom for a woman to make decisions about her own body, not having her government tell her what to do.
They not like us?
And you ain't black. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
Let me ask you a question. How many of you are concerned about the invasion of privacy that is currently going on by the Biden administration? Biden's DOJ is invading individuals' private messages and targeting them based on their political affiliation, and that's why I've partnered with Freedom Chat, a private social messaging app that, like me, believes privacy is your fundamental human right. Freedom Chat has variable end-to-end encryption, built-in screenshot protection, no storage of messages on their servers, and no commercial use of user data. I'm such a fan of Freedom Chat, in fact, that I have created my own private channel that you can subscribe to for exclusive content, including never-seen images, videos, and posts. Simply download the app, or if you're on Android, join their waitlist. Search for my channel and subscribe. No one can see the channels that you are subscribed to or the posts that you react to. It's your own perfectly curated private news feed. Speak freely and message privately with Freedom Chat. Download the app today and subscribe to my channel at Larry Elder for exclusive posts and never-before-seen content. Let's talk about what this comment calls the Biden war machine.
Biden, in his term, pulled out of Afghanistan and pulled into Ukraine, Taiwan, and now Gaza, thereby starting wars with Russia, China, Iran, and basically the whole Middle East. And this guy knows he's gonna die. It's a suicide mission. He knows what he's doing. Biden's a straight up jihadi. That's what he is. Forget Al-Qaeda, Al-Biden, okay? That's BISIS right there. Osama bin Biden, that's what that is. And you know who's been silent this whole time? Kamala Hamas.
A tale of two Joes.
I continue to think we have to make fundamental changes in civil rights, and those civil rights, by the way, include not just only African Americans, but the LGBT community. He wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare I did not oppose busing in America. What I opposed is busing ordered by the Department of Education. That's what I oppose. Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if you will determine the outcome of this election, vote vote, vote. If you're able to vote early in your state, vote early. If you're able to vote in person, vote in person. Vote whatever way is the best way for you, because he cannot stop you. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
A tale of two Joes. Scarborough, that is. This was months ago.
Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. Not a close second. And I've known him for years. The Brzezinskis have known him for 50 years. If it weren't the truth, I wouldn't say it.
And this is Joe Scarborough when the debate was over.
But can he run for president in 2024? Donald Trump lied over and over and over and over again. And Joe Biden couldn't respond to any of those lies.
About the accusation that Trump called fallen American World War II soldiers losers and suckers, Biden says, who are you going to believe? A 4-star general or Trump? Do you really want to go there, Joe? Okay. How about the allegation that Biden committed sexual assault that, by the way, Trump graciously failed to bring up during the debate? Who are you going to believe? Tara Reade, his ex-staffer with no history of lying, or Joe Biden, a serial liar?
What are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
Tara Reade was unavailable for comment.
In her response to Biden's denial, Tara Reade emotionally describing what she says happened in the spring of 1993, describing being asked to bring then-Senator Joe Biden a gym bag in a Senate office building.
He greeted me, he remembered my name, and then I said, here you go, Senator. I handed him the bag, and it happened very quickly.
She alleges Biden pushed her up against the wall of a Senate corridor and put his hand under her clothes.
He had his hands underneath my clothes, and it happened all at once. He had one hand underneath my shirt, and the other hand, I had a skirt on, and he went down my skirt and then went up.
Reade claiming Biden pulled back when she resisted.
He pointed his finger at me and he said, "You're nothing to me. You're nothing." And I think that's the hardest thing.
Biden has consistently denied Reade's claims, repeating his denial Thursday when asked about her new comments.
In every case, the truth is what matters. And in this case, the truth is these claims are flat out false.
A year ago, Reade was among several women who said Biden had touched them inappropriately in a non-sexual manner, Biden later vowing to be more respectful of people's personal space. But in March, for the first time publicly, Reade came forward with her assault claim. She also said she had filed a complaint with the Senate that did not mention assault. No complaint has been found. The Biden campaign issuing a statement Thursday saying, "Every day more and more inconsistencies arise. Women must receive the benefit of the doubt. They must be able to come forward and share their stories without fear of retribution or harm. And we all have a responsibility to ensure that. At the same time, we can never sacrifice the truth."
So let's review. Biden's many lies include, but are not limited to, how, why, and where his son Beau contracted brain cancer, that he desegregated movie theaters and restaurants in Wilmington, Delaware, participated in civil rights sit-ins, his college and law school class standing, he lied about that he received 3 scholarships, that he got arrested trying to visit Nelson Mandela during apartheid. He was raised in the black church, played football for University of Delaware, he didn't, claimed the driver who accidentally struck and killed his first wife and daughter was drunk despite the investigation showing that he was not, that Trump said about the Charlottesville protests there were very fine white nationalists on both sides, that Trump said drink or inject bleach, that Biden didn't pressure Ukraine to fire the prosecutor investigating Burisma, on whose board Hunter Biden sat, that corporate greed is to blame for higher prices, that Trump praised Hitler, that Trump imposed a Muslim ban, that Biden knew nothing about and never discussed Hunter's business dealings, that a small kitchen fire almost killed his wife, dog, and melted his Corvette, his million miles Amtrak Whopper, that all of the Trump tax cuts went to folks at the very top, that he was shot at in Iraq, that inflation was 9% when Biden became president, that Trump said he would be dictator from day one when Trump was only talking about borders and drilling for oil, that Biden was endorsed by the Border Patrol, that his World War II Uncle Bosie vet was eaten by cannibals, that Trump wants to get rid of Social Security, that no one advised him that the Afghan government would quickly collapse and the Taliban would quickly return if he abruptly pulled out of Afghanistan. The NAACP endorsed him in all of his elections. They endorsed him in none. And that under his administration, no troops died anywhere in the world like Trump did, end of quote. And the possible lie that he and Jill met on a blind date. Her ex-husband claims that she had an affair with Biden while they were still married and that she therefore committed adultery. Apart from that...
And I consider Joe a friend. And the problem is everybody who meets Jill from, when I met her in 1969 to right up till today falls in love with her immediately. It's hard not to.
Right.
And that's why I don't want to hurt her. But I also want the facts out. And I want to make sure that people know the story so going forward, they're not so ready to jump in and, slow something down that I'm doing.
So when did you first know that you were having an affair?
Officially, I can almost pick the date because it involved Bruce Springsteen coming to the Stone Balloon.
Right.
I had to go pay Bruce Springsteen in advance in the beginning of August 1974 for him to show up at the Stone Balloon the following week.
Right.
I asked her to go with me, and it shocked me when she said she had things to do. And I guess that's...
You had to go to New York.
Yeah. No, North Jersey.
North Jersey, right.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all I can say about all that. But...
and you knew then that the things you do were...
I was told shortly after that.
Yeah.
I was told by one of her best friends. That's what's even funnier yet. So... the facts were pretty much the facts.
And so you were the one, it's right that you were the one that filed for divorce?
I'm actually not even sure. I asked her to leave the house.
Right.
And she moved, the following year, I waited a while. I thought maybe it would get over. Her father was begging me when he found out what was going on. Her father begged me to give her a second chance. Her father was an amazing man, and it gets me a little emotional when I think of that I lost her family. She does say something nice about that in her book. She said, it's a fact that my parents loved me, Bill.
Right.
I thought that was nice. Other than that, I'm the date.
Americans have had enough of supporting companies that hate our values. Tired of compromise? So am I. It's time to switch to Patriot Mobile, America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They are an example of putting the cause ahead of profits, and that's why I'm proud to partner with them. Patriot Mobile offers dependable nationwide coverage, giving you access to all 3 major networks, which means you get the same coverage you've been accustomed to without funding the left. When you switch over to Patriot Mobile, you're sending a message that you support the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the sanctity of life, and our military vets and our first responder heroes. Their 100% US-based customer service team makes it easy to switch, keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their team will help you find the best plan for your needs. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT. That's patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT. Get free activation when you use the offer code Larry. Join me and make that switch today. patriotmobile.com/Larry, patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT. Speaking of election denying, remember when Biden said before the 2022 midterms, when they assumed there was going to be this red wave? Asked whether he would accept the midterm results, Biden said...
Do you think that they would in any way be illegitimate?
Oh, yeah, I think it easily could be illegitimate. Imagine if, in fact, Trump has succeeded in convincing Pence to not count the votes. Imagine if...
In regards to 2022, sir, the midterm
2022. I mean, imagine if those attempts to say that the count was not legit. You have to recount it, and we're not going to count. We're going to discard the following votes. I mean, sure. I'm not saying it's going to be legit. It's the increase in the prospect of being illegitimate is in direct proportion to us not being able to get these these reforms pass.
Vice President Kamala Harris went on CNN to tell Anderson Cooper the debate performance was not all that bad.
Yes, there was a slow start, but it was a strong finish. And what became very clear through the course of the night is that Joe Biden is fighting on behalf of the American people, on substance, on policy, on performance. Joe Biden is extraordinarily strong. And
but I'm sorry,
that
on
cannot
substance
be
and
debated.
policy and performance tonight, I mean, the president's performance tonight clearly was disappointing for his supporters. CNN is reporting Democratic lawmakers watching the debate were worried about the president's performance. One said it was a disaster. Another called it a train wreck. Those are Democrats especially worried that Biden did not punch back on Trump's lies.
Listen, people can debate on style points, but ultimately this election and who is the president of the United States has to be about substance. And the contrast is clear. Look at what happened during the course of the debate. Donald Trump lied over and over and over again, as he is wont to do.
But the president of the United
facts are
States
very
was not
important.
able to make that case to Donald Trump on the stage tonight. I mean, you debated against then Vice President Vice President Biden 4 years ago, and he was a very different person on the stage 4 years ago when you debated him. You must, I mean, that's certainly true, is it not?
Anderson, the point has to be performance in terms of what a president does. A president who incites an insurrection against the Capitol. No, but I got the point that you're making about a 1.5 hour debate tonight. I'm talking about 3.5 years of performance in work that has been historic.
But
whether
is that
it be
the man who we
the
saw
former
on the
guy,
stage
the other
tonight,
guy,
is that the
the other
person
guy
you
on
see
the
in
debate
meetings every day?
stage, the person that you saw on the debate stage that has, for the last 3.5 years, up until today, performed in a way that has been about, whether it be in the Oval Office, negotiating bipartisan deals so that we have an infrastructure, a real infrastructure plan where we're putting trillions of dollars on the streets of America. So I'm not going to spend all night with you talking about the last 90 minutes when I've been watching the last 3.5 years of performance.
But this was a debate that your campaign wanted. You pushed for this debate at this moment. Obviously, I mean, you can't honestly say, I mean, can you say that you are not concerned at all having watched the president's performance tonight?
It was a slow start. That's obvious to everyone. I'm not going to debate that point. I'm talking about the choice in November. I'm talking about one of the most important elections in our collective lifetime. And do we want to look at what November will bring and go on a course for America that is about a destruction of democracy, electing a man who has said he'll be a dictator on day one? Or do we want to continue on a course that's about strengthening America's economy, building and creating 15 million American jobs, over 800,000 manufacturing jobs? I got that this is the afterplay for the debate, this conversation that I'm in, and I understand why everyone wants to talk about it, but I think it's also important to recognize that the choice in November between these two people that were on the debate stage involves extraordinary stakes.
And Harris repeats the dictator from day one lie.
To look at what November will bring and go on a course for America that is about a destruction of democracy, electing a man who has said he'll be a dictator on day one.
Here again is what Trump actually said about being a dictator.
Do you in any way have any plans whatsoever, if reelected president, to abuse power, to break the law, to use the government to go after people?
You mean like they're using right now?
You would never abuse power as retribution against anybody.
Except for day one.
Except
Look,
what?
he's going crazy. Except for day one.
Meaning?
I want to close the border and I want to drill.
That's not retribution.
I'm going to be, you know, he keeps, we love this guy. He says, you're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, no, other than day one. We're closing the border. and we're drilling. After that, I'm not a dictator, okay?
Now, members of the left-wing media, that's redundant, are ridiculing Trump for using the term black jobs.
And he caused the inflation. He's blaming inflation, and he's right, it's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New scam and all this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Look, that comment about black jobs from Trump, it's got a lot of people talking.
Three things about this. First, they know damn well Trump was talking about jobs that would otherwise be held by blacks but for illegal alien labor. Peter Kirsanow of the U.S. Civil Rights Commission, who is black, made the very same point.
I had asked the Civil Rights Commission to conduct a hearing on this, and there were at least 3 hearings that we conducted, one of which was designed specifically to determine the effect of illegal immigration on black workers. We had a panel of experts who testified, and they spanned the ideological spectrum. Regardless of whether or not they disagreed on discrete policy issues, each and every one of them agreed that illegal immigration has a decidedly negative impact on black wage levels and employment levels. If you've got a significant influx of low-wage labor, what does it do? It depresses wage levels, correct? And what we found also was, regardless of the wage levels, illegal immigrants displaced black workers in areas that had traditionally been populated by black workers. And the reason for that is because what you find is black workers, particularly black males, are disproportionately concentrated in the low-wage labor market and are disproportionately likely to have no more than a high school diploma. And the same is true for the cohort of illegal aliens, and they compete with one another in areas such as construction, hospitality, service, and agriculture. This was not a small displacement either. We had one witness who testified that after he had run the numbers, he found that 40% of the decline in labor participation rates among black workers over 3 decades was attributable to competition from illegal immigration. It comes to nearly 1 million fewer jobs for black Americans as a result of the competition from illegal immigrants. And it's not just the employment levels, it's the wage levels also. And I can only give you a few examples, but we had evidence from the Fed in Atlanta, which did a study on this, to show that illegal immigrants depressed wages, the competition from illegal immigrants, depressed wages by $960 on average, but in certain sectors, such as the hospitality industry, the depression of wage levels was $1,560. And because black workers were disproportionately concentrated in those areas, they were disproportionately affected.
Second, let me get this straight. Trump is racist for supposedly not giving a damn about blacks, but Trump is also racist for caring about the loss of black jobs. Third, if the Dems' left-wing media truly believe there's no such thing as a black job, why this headline? Sharpton can say black job. He's keeping it real.
With 9.1 unemployment, 9.1% unemployment, over 16% in the black community, no one is talking about the urgency of jobs. This march is for thousands of us to say the people must enter the conversation. So we're here by the thousands, and we're going to march today from this area, which is near Lincoln Memorial, to the King Monument to say we want jobs. If no one exposes the problems, they will never be solved. You have not had a major march like this around jobs, particularly in the African-American community, till today, and we've got nothing done. Maybe if we dramatize it, maybe if we do like Occupation Wall Street, people will see that the masses of people want to see some solution.
Trump says black job, he's keeping it racist. So, if there's no such thing as a black job, this means we can stop with the DEI, bean counting, underrepresentation, affirmative action, divisive attack on merit. That'll work.
That'll work.
Unattended luggage.
Behind me is the San Diego border wall, what was once regarded as the best example of secure bordering in the United States. Now, this border wall section, it's now facing the same type of border crisis right here as the rest of the country.
We have open gaps here in San Diego, but they're just coming in.
According to statistics from Customs and Border Protection, around 7.2 million illegal immigrants entered the United States under President Joe Biden alone. What is actually causing this crisis?
Trump versus Biden regarding golf.
Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie that he's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
But I had, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Let's
not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to
21
Let's not act like children.
Sure, how you doing? Okay, right, okay. What, are we waiting for these guys? Hey, Whitey, where's your hat? Let's go while we're young.
Mind, sir? Trying to tee off?
I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal.
Governors have to deliver. So how can governors play a bigger role in leading us out?
Yeah, again, lead by example. And I think, look, almost all the governors get along. I mean, in my 8 years, I can honestly tell you there's really only been 2, maybe a third, but 2 real governors that really nobody liked. Nobody cared for at all. I don't mind.
Would you say who they are?
Do you really want me to? Yeah, Andrew Cuomo. Complete. No one likes him. And I gotta be honest. No one cares for Gavin. Gavin's just a prick. Excuse me. He just is. It's really disappointing. I got along with him. All of us got along for a while. But even the Democrats, they won't tell you out loud. But behind closed doors, you're like, oh God, look who's coming.
I mean, he couldn't even handle Adam Carolla.
Adam Carolla here. Governor, why did you shut the beaches in California during COVID?
Yeah, I think we all were working on information at the time. We had no basis of deeply understanding the virus. I think they did the same thing.
So you didn't know anything, so why'd you shut the beaches?
States like Florida.
If you didn't know anything, why'd you shut the beaches?
Well, we didn't know. Yeah, because people were concerned early in the pandemic. Information was coming out as it relates to how it was transferred, the disease, and people were cautious, trying to keep people alive. And I should say this,
so
Adam,
you didn't let them go in the sunshine and get vitamin
California
D
outperformed.
and exercise, so you shut the beaches. Okay. And you arrested a guy who was paddleboarding in the bay.
On health, wealth, and...
Yeah, any science behind that? Any science
we're
at
all
all behind
geniuses
shutting
in hindsight.
outdoor dining? Why'd you shut down outdoor dining? Go ahead, go.
Science. It's good to see Adam.
Based on science,
look,
you didn't
at the end
have.
Of the day, the debate tonight.
It's not a debate. You shut
I'm
down
looking
outdoor
forward to the
dining.
debate,
You canceled
compare and
businesses.
contrast
Had
tonight.
nothing to do with science.
Once again, it is not about age. It's about mental fitness. This is Tom Sowell, 3 months after turning 81, the same age as President Joe Biden.
There are things that the government is authorized to do under the Constitution and other things that they're not authorized to do. But by simply spending a vast amount of money, you acquire the right to do them. For example, you can fire the head of General Motors simply because you spent all that money buying, rescuing General Motors. There are all kinds of programs that the federal government imposes on the states which they have no authority to do, but they impose them because they make the receipt of federal money contingent on doing what they tell you in Washington. And so the powers that were set out in the Constitution and limited become expanded by this process.
Now, after the Supreme Court immunity decision, Biden misstated its ruling and lied repeatedly.
The presidency is the most powerful office in the world. It's an office that not only tests your judgment, perhaps even more importantly, it's an office that tests your character. Because you not only face moments when you need the courage to exercise the full power of the presidency, you also face moments where you need the wisdom to respect the limits of the power of the office of the presidency. This nation was founded on the principle that there are no kings in America. Each of us is equal before the law. No one is above the law, not even the President of the United States. With today's Supreme Court decision on presidential immunity, that fundamentally changed. For all practical purposes, today's decision almost certainly means that there are virtually no limits on what a president can do. This is a fundamentally new principle, and it's a dangerous precedent, because the power of the office will no longer be constrained by the law, even including the Supreme Court of the United States. The only limits will be self-imposed by the president alone. But any president, including Donald Trump, will now be free to ignore the law. I concur with Justice Sotomayor's dissent today. Here's what she said. She said, in every use of official power, the president is now a king above the law. With fear for our democracy, I dissent. End of quote. So should the American people dissent. I dissent. May God bless you all, and may God help preserve our democracy. Thank you. And may God protect our troops.
Now, Biden, of course, leaves out that the Supreme Court made a distinction between official acts and unofficial acts. Trump had a First Amendment right to speak on January 6th, and like it or not, he was acting in his official capacity when challenging an election he thought unfair. Trump, again, First Amendment right to speak on January 6th, and First Amendment right to complain about the election. And regarding the pressure he put on Mike Pence not to certify the election and firing Bill Barr for not going along with it, Trump made the same arguments Dems made when they tried to decertify Florida after the 2000 election, when Dems tried to decertify Ohio after the 2004 election, and when Dems challenged 9 states after 2016, 3 more than the 6 that Trump challenged after 2020. This is a tale of 2 visits to a black church.
Ketanji Brown Jackson, our Supreme Court Justice. I fully understand that the African American community has suffered from discrimination and that there are many wrongs that must still be made right.
A Real Clear Markets article said, Bank of America needs to come clean about debanking practices. It wrote, and I'm quoting, more victims of Bank of America's debanking regime have come forward, including Timothy II Project International and constitutional scholar John Eastman, a friend of mine, both debanked under similar circumstances by the nation's second largest bank. The bank's lack of transparency about cancellations that suspiciously look like they are based on viewpoint is why shareholders sought a report assessing whether the bank's policies and practices pose a risk of politicized debanking. Old Glory Bank will never debank any law-abiding customer. Our mission is the Constitution. Open an account at oldglorybank.com, and when you get your debit card in the mail, activate it, and you'll get a copy of my latest book, As Goes California, at a 50% discount. oldglorybank.com. That's oldglorybank.com. How about this race card melodrama? So I'm watching the Olympic trials, and there's a woman named Alacia Leigh Johnson. She's a hurdler, and she made the Olympics. And after she made the Olympics, she was interviewed. Here's what she said.
It was, oh God, I already knew before the season started what was coming for me. I knew it was the easiest thing to do because everybody all the time said that I wasn't good enough, said that I didn't deserve. And so I did this my way, my team's way, and just the way that it was meant to be. This is for the hood babies. This is for the people who are poor that come from nothing. This is for everybody that looks like me, that was ever doubted, and I did it with a black designer on my chest. This is what I stand for, and I'm making a way for everybody in my position.
This is for everybody that looks like me. This is for the hood. Did you see who was in that race? There might have been 8, 9 contestants. Every single one of them black except for one. And she finished, the one who was white, finished next to last. This is for everybody who looks like me. They all look like you. I mean, honestly, well done to make the Olympics, but you have to pull out the race card and make it seem like some sort of we shall overcome incident. She finished first. What about all the black women she beat who didn't make it? What are they going to say? Honestly. Now she's a combination of Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, and Rosa Parks, and Jussie Smollett.
And above all, I fought the back. I'm the gay Tupac.
Okay, maybe not Jussie. For crying out loud, this is 2024. Give it up. You know, I'm starting to love AI.
You know, there's been zero evidence. You can ask me, how can Obama be the hidden puppet master for this administration? But there's no evidence. There's no evidence. There's no evidence that Obama is Joe's puppet master. There's none. Absolutely none. None. And that is just a fact. You can't say that it looks like my hair is the dirty mop the janitor is looking for. You can't say that it looks like I lazily slapped on some of Big Mike's lipstick and horrific eyeshadow. Don't even look that close. That's a waste of time.
Like I said, I'm really starting to love AI.
You feel like any little piece of information that gets out on you will be used by the worst people on the internet to destroy your life. And it's so isolating.
And terrifying.
It's horrifying. I'm so
fine.
It's really hard.
That was AI, right? And this is one of my favorite Donald Trump stories.
My favorite President Trump story. This is my #1 favorite of all time. When we were negotiating with the Taliban, while President Trump was still the president, President Trump wanted to get out of Afghanistan, but he wanted a conditions-based withdrawal, meaning that you do what we tell you to do, and then we will start pulling troops back slowly as long as you abide by our rules. It's President Trump and Mike Pompeo, and they are talking to Taliban leadership in the room, and they had one translator in the room. President Trump looked at the Taliban leader and said this: I want to leave Afghanistan, but it's going to be a conditions-based withdrawal. And translator translated. And he said, if you harm a hair on a single American, I'm going to kill you. And the translator goes, and Trump goes, tell him. Translate.
Yes. Tell him what I said.
Tell him what I said. Reached in his pocket, pulled out a satellite photo of the leader of the Taliban's home and handed it to him.
Shut up.
Got up and walked out the room.
Sure did.
Do you know for 18 months not a single American was killed in Afghanistan?
Sure did.
That's the definition of strength.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Finally, a simple kiss and the power of love.
Stronger than steel. You won't feel nothing till you feel love. Feel the power, just feel the power of love.
Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Hope you enjoyed We've Got a Country to Save, brought to you by my friends at investyrefy.com. Invest in America like I do. And by Freedom Chat. Freedom Chat has true end-to-end encryption, no storage of messages on the server, and no commercial use of user data. Speak freely and message privately. Download the app today and subscribe to my Freedom Chat channel at Larry Elder for exclusive posts and never-before-seen content. We also thank Epic Times, Old Glory Bank, Patriot Mobile, and BIRCH Gold. Make sure to follow or subscribe to my channel on whatever platform you are currently using, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble. And remember, we've got a country to save.